Hi and welcome. If you're Will or Jimmy, then this is the tutorial I said I was going to do. If you're anyone else, then this is a tutorial I'm saying I'm going to do. Now that's out of the way. Tutorial is basically on painting one of these today. I'm basically going to be painting miniatures. Whether I paint any more after this is really up in the air. It depends on whether I have enough time or whether I feel inclined to, or whatever. But for today I am actually going to go through painting and assembling a Kroot warrior, or basically any light infantry that isn't human, because these rules can be taken and applied to pretty much anything. Orcs, Tau, Eldar, probably lots of different things. So yeah, before I get started on actually showing you every step of it, I think I'll go into a little scene so I can test out my compositing skills and use my magical iPhone app to show you what the model looks up close up. So if you bear with me, we'll just get to work on that. Let's go! Yeah, that worked. Okay. So, as you can see, I've put some high detail. You can see the dry brushing along the musculature. It's really important to dry brush that because there's so much detail in it that you'll just miss otherwise. And since you're going to be looking at these models from arm's length, it really does matter that you can see detail there. I've highlighted the gaps and stuff with Devil and Mud, mainly because Devil and Mud's also known as liquid talent for some reason, and which I've probably already mentioned, and because Kroot had this weird habit of sweating out all their bad stuff, so instead of urinating or defecating or anything, they just sweat it out, which is canon, so you kind of have to include it somewhere. Non-metallic metal, as you can see along this blade here, I've explained it step by step, but I'll just go over it now. It's basically just grey underneath, then a lighter grey on top, and then dry brush with bleach bone. That's how you get that really, it looks like it's shiny, it really isn't. Not really sure what else to talk about. Yeah, I think that's it. So, oh yeah, the shoulder pads. When you're doing the shoulder pads, draw in dots first, and then connect the lines together. Again, I'll show you in detail how to do that. And that is it. So, back to the room. Let's get started. And there we go. Okay, so now you've seen that, let's get to work on actually painting the model. So, things you're gonna need. Just so as you know, this is going to be a fairly comprehensive guide as to everything you need, so I will be going over just about every single step. Right, first up, if we zoom this way. First up, clippers. Always need a set of these. When you're cutting stuff off the sprue, if you just twist it by hand like I used to do, you always end up with these really nasty mold lines, and it kind of ruins the believability of your model when it's got little bits of plastic sticking out. So these are a must. If you don't own them, go out and get some. Very useful. Plastic glue. Basically it's also called polystyrene cement. You can buy it in pretty much any craft shop. The stuff I have here is the Games Workshop stuff. I may have to blur out some of the iconography just so I can put it, but if I am just putting it on YouTube, shouldn't matter. Games Workshop stuff is fairly good quality. You know, you're not going to find much difference. The formula is basically the same. What it does is, the big difference between this and super glue is it actually melts the two pieces of plastic and makes them into one continuous piece. So it's actually a lot more useful than super glue because it's fusing the model as opposed to just sticking it together. Right, paint wise, you'll need a palette, and you can again, you can use any old piece of a plate or a bathroom tile or whatever as a palette. You really don't have to go out and buy one. A painting pot, which again, I've got a proper Citadel one here, but you can just use a mug. You don't actually have to go out and buy anything. There's other stuff I have here. You always need a white and a black. Always. These are your basic paints. If you're trying to paint without these, then you're kind of in a hole because you can't lighten or darken anything. Right. Earth tones. Again, this is an ink wash. I'll cover more on ink washes later. For now, you don't really need to worry about it. Right, earth tones. You always need a pale one and a darkish one. For these two I've gone with bleached bone, I'm not sure if you can read that actually, bleached bone and graveyard earth, which are, you know, very light and very dark earth tones. Really good for basing or just evening out quality when skull white is a bit too harsh. And your other detail colours. The Kroot, I don't normally do this, but I've gone for some really bright colours, like Macarius Solar Orange. This is a foundation. I'm not going to go over foundations in this tutorial because I didn't use any, but in another one I definitely will. Like if I ever do Vespids again, which I hope to God I never have to do. Right, Scorpion Green, bright ass neon green, just because, I don't know, it's more of a psychological thing. Kroot are designed to be a meat shield, so you want your opponent to notice and shoot at them first, so a really bright colour helps. Ice Blue, again, you can't really see this on the model, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but I used it for really light details. And Red Gore, again, just light details really. I used this to pick out some, a little bit of blood daubing on the side of the armour and a couple of other little bits. So yeah, let's go on this.